Hi, my name is Miss Brittany and I teach in the early childhood classroom at the Garfield School. Today I'm going to be showing you some simple ways that you can do addition with your child at home. So I'm using just a piece of felt in the classroom. Whenever we do math on a table like this, we always have a table mat. And it's just because we're usually using beads and things that can roll around. So whatever you have at home will work just fine. If you don't have felt, you can just even use a piece of paper and that would help to designate their work area. And so I'm using popcorn kernels today. We've been using these a lot in our math videos. And for 10 bars today, I just have Q-tips and straws. But I know that Yone made her own 10 bars using real beads. So however creative you want to get is great. And so when you start writing simple equations for your child, we want to start writing them this way, left to right, just because that mimics the way that they lay them out in the snake game, which comes before this lesson. If you haven't watched Miss April's lesson on the snake game, you can go ahead and watch that first. So I know that a lot of you don't have printers at home as well, so I'm just showing you how to do everything using paper and markers. And I just cut a piece of paper into fourths and then just made a simple equation. So 3 plus 7 equals, and here's the answer spot, and we're just gonna use simple manipulatives, whatever you have. And I'm just gonna lay out 1, 2, 3 for 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this is very similar to the snake game, but in the snake game we have the 3 bead, which cannot be broken down, and this serves as a control of error for the child because they're able to put 3 and 7 together and see that it equals 10. So this is the next step of difficulty in this process, is the child has to be able to use one-to-one correspondence and count out 3 and then count out 7. And then I'll show them how to move all of those into this answer box so that we can see this is the quantity. And when we pull them out to figure out what the answer is, we'll just count one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 3 plus 7 is 10. If your child is confident in writing, you can just hand them a pen and ask them to write the number 10. If they're not, that's why we have all of these numeral cards laid out. So you could make numeral cards. If you don't have a printer, just write them out and have the child find 10. 3 plus 7 equals 10. After they get pretty confident doing equations this way, then it's a good idea to show them that equations can also be written vertically. So 5 plus 5, and that the answer goes down below. This prepares them for how we do golden bead addition, which I'll show you later in this video as well. And this would be done the same way, where we have room to put our manipulatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then show them that to add means to combine and bring them below the line like this. So, and then we lay them out and find our answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's the same thing. You would have your child write the number 10 or find the number 10 from a layout. And if you don't want to be writing these over and over again for your child, one thing that you can do is just put them in a page protector. And if you have a dry erase marker at home, then the child can do the same. Use the manipulatives, figure out the answer, and then write it with a dry erase marker. And that's just an easy way to do simple addition using just unit beads. Now, if this is too simple for your child, then I want to show you a way that you can add bigger numbers using manipulatives as well. So this piece of felt that I have, I'm going to treat it kind of like my big 9s layout mat from my previous video. And so what you can do is just take a green marker and a blue marker and make a mini version of that big 9s layout mat. So I'm going to take a green marker and make, a column for the units. And then I'm going to use a blue marker and make a slightly bigger column for my tens. And then I'm just going to use a black marker and make an equal bar across the bottom and a plus sign. So this is what it looks like. And if you wanted to write some bigger equations for your child, like 13 plus 25 equals, and for these ones we want to make sure that you're writing them vertically on top of each other, because that's how your child is going to be solving them using this mat. And so then we're going to look at this, and just like we did before, we're going to use manipulatives to build the numbers. So this one is 13. So I can't have 13 loose unit beads. I have to use 1 10 bar and 3 unit beads. And that's how we build the number 13. And for our second addend, we need 2 10 bars. So 20 and 5 unit beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's important that the child always starts in the units column to bring them down, because later when we get into dynamic addition, where we're going to have to carry, then it's important to start in the units. So I'm going to start with my units family, and remember, to add means to squish 2 numbers together to get a bigger number. We're going to squish all these together and bring them down below the line and find our answer for our units column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're allowed to have 8 loose unit beads as our answer because it is 9 or less. So now you would either have your child write 9, or if your child isn't confident in writing, they can come over here and find 9. And now we need to add our tens together to find the answer in our tens column. 10, 20, 30, bring them all below the line, and we're going to write a 3. This does get kind of tricky and abstract because you're not going to write a 30, you're just going to write a 3. And that's where these numbers really come in handy, so that the child can see that we have to always cover up that 0 to make 39. And that's just a simple way to go from adding just using units or ones, and then adding all the way up to 100. If this is still too simple for your child, then I'm going to show you how to use the full nines layout, even up into the thousands materials, to do some really big adding. So this is the same material that I've already explained in a different video. And so if you haven't already made these materials and you would like to do this, then you can go watch that video, which will show you how to make it. And the only thing that I've changed on this nines layout mat is I've just added a string. So just like on the one we made before, how I wrote the equal bar across the bottom, this way, rather than writing it across, it's easy to use a string, because then when you take it away, you can practice the nines layout again. So you can get 2 uses out of this mat. And then in the classroom, we also have just little wooden operation signs. So for addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. And all I'm gonna do is just use a sticky note and write plus, and remind the child what that symbol means. It means to add, and so let's do some adding today. I'm going to add the plus sign right here. So it's a ginormous equation. And I wrote a static addition equation all the way into the thousands. So with this simple mat, I showed you how to use numbers using tens and units. Obviously, after they're comfortable with this, you would just do some addition with numbers into the hundreds. But I'm going to go ahead and skip right to the hardest and just show you how to do addition in the thousands. And when I say static addition, what I mean is that all of these numbers, each column added together, is going to be 9 or less, so that we don't have to do any carrying. That is a different lesson that I'll show in another video for when we're ready to do dynamic addition. So when you're writing these problems for your child, just keep that in mind. I'm just going to look at this number and come build it using the beads. And so the child at this point has had so much practice just reading numbers and building numbers. And now we're gonna actually take that knowledge and apply it and use it to do an addition problem. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my tray and my numeral to create 2,416. So I have my first addend and I'm going to bring it over to my mat. And now that I have all of my golden bead materials, I'm going to lay them out on my mat. So this time we're going to stack them up. We're going to do 1,000, 2,000, 100, 200, 300, 400, only one 10 bar, and 6 unit beads. Now that my first addend is laid out, I'm going to take my tray and go get my second addend to add to my equation. And I'm going to add it directly under my first. So we have 1,350 and 2. So what I have laid out on my nines layout mat is the same thing that is written on my paper. These are the numerals and this is the quantity. And just like we did before, we're going to remind the child to always start in the unit column. So we're going to start with just the units family and we're going to squish them together and bring them down below the line. And now we can find our units answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our answer in the units column is 8. And now we can find our tens by squishing, bringing them down below 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I will find 60 for our hundreds. We're going to squish them together, bring them below 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. So I find my red 700. And for our thousands, we're going to bring them all together and bring them below the line. And we have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So I'll find my 3,000. And now comes the fun part. We're going to cover up all of our zeros to find our answer. And this will help the child when they go to write the answer here, because all the zeros are covered up. And this is what it looks like. So we're going to write 3,768. And then I always encourage the child to read the whole problem to me, which is a really big challenge. So 2,416 plus 1,352 equals 3,768. Whew, that's a really big number. So this is really, really big math for a kindergartner to be doing, but we actually have a lot of kindergartners who get to this point because they've used the concrete materials so much and because it's not all on paper and it's not all abstract to them. If your kindergartner is not to this point yet, that's totally fine too. We don't want to challenge them too much. We always want to challenge them enough that it's fun for them, but not so much that it's frustrating. After your child is really confident in static addition, then it's time to introduce exchanging and dynamic addition. And we'll be doing that in a future video. Have fun.